Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you so much for your kind association. Let us get started. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Hayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakham Vitamscha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhakti Vedanta Swami iti namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Tvise Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadādhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So dear devotees, we are continuing our study of Granthara Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 6, text 23 onwards. Shri Narad Muni is narrating his own life story to his disciple, Shri Vyasadeva. And he is narrating the pastime of when the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna, appeared to Shri Narad Muni and then also disappeared. And when Krishna disappeared, Narad Muni was feeling intense separation from Krishna. And he tried his best to concentrate and focus his mind on Krishna. Manmana, he was trying to bring Krishna in his mind and heart, but he could not get the darshan of Krishna again. And then Krishna spoke. He did not appear to Narad Muni, but spoke to Narad Muni. And those verses we are reading. So Krishna is speaking to Shri Narad Muni. Verse 23. Sat sevaya dirghayapi jata mai dhridamatihi hitva vadyam imam lokam gantam janatam asi. Translations and purports by our beloved, revered founder Acharya, Om Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parivrajakacharya Ashtottar Shata Shri Śrīmad Abhay Charana Arvinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki jai. By service of the Absolute Truth, even for a few days, a devotee attains firm and fixed intelligence in me. Consequently, he goes on to become my associate in the spiritual world, transcendental world, after giving up the present deplorable material worlds. My dear friends, this verse from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam 1.6.23 is very important. This is very important Siddhanta. This verse is the proof that a devotee who is fixed in Krishna consciousness at the end of this life goes back to his beloved Lord Shri Krishna in the spiritual world. Clearly, Lord Krishna himself is saying here, Sat Sevaya. And it's not that it's ideal if we are devotees lifelong, but even if we started late in life, there is hope. Krishna is saying, Adirgha. Yeah. Dirgha Kal means for a long time you have to do bhajan. Krishna is saying, Adirghaya. Even for a few days, even for a short period of time. How much time did Khatwanga Maharaj have? One muhurta, 48 minutes, and he perfected his life. This is the power of pure devotional service, bhakti. Sat Sevaya. Sat Sevaya means pure devotional service. Service to Krishna, Krishna bhakti. If we do it, adhirghaya api, even if for a short period of time, jata mai dhrida matihi. We will get complete. Yes, Amrit Gaurangi Mataji is sharing this very important verse from Bhagavad Gita. Neha bhikramanashosti pratyavayona vidyate swalpamepyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Exactly, same Siddhanta in Bhagavatam also Krishna is saying. That hitva adyam, adyam means this body, and hitva avadyam, this deplorable world after we giving up, hitva means to give up, ganta mat janata amasi. Where do we go? We go to mat janata. Janata means people, associates, population. Where do we go? Mat janata, Krishna lok, to associate with Krishna's people. Clearly it is said. So we go to Krishna's abode. If we practice Sat Sevaya, devotional service. Seva means service. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada says something very important. So now in this verse, Krishna is saying that you should engage in my service, Sat Seva. How do we do that? None of us have seen Krishna. How do we engage in Krishna's service? It's an obvious question. Srila Prabhupada is answering in the purport. Serving the absolute truth, Krishna, means rendering service to the absolute personality of Godhead Krishna under the direction of bona fide spiritual master. We don't have direct access to Krishna, but one who has gotten Krishna, one who has attained Krishna, one who has realized Krishna, we have to be under their guidance. So service to Krishna means to obey Shri Guru. Is this point clear? Service to Krishna means to follow the orders of the spiritual master. The spiritual master is the representative of Krishna. Srila Prabhupada says the spiritual masters are transparent via medium. The neophyte devotee has no ability to approach Krishna by strength of his present imperfect material senses. And therefore, tasmad gurum prapadyeta. Therefore, we have to be under the guidance of a spiritual master. And we have to be trained in the transcendental service of the Lord. In such transcendental service, which leads him ultimately to get free from perpetual inhabitation in the material world. Now Srila Prabhupada is talking about what Krishna is saying in the verse. What is our condition? We are perpetually inhabiting this material world. Inhabit means to live. Perpetual means practically forever. Krishna Bhulyaji Anadi Bahirmukh. We have been in this material world since time immemorial. So perpetual inhabitation in this world, we'll get free from it. We'll get free from it. And to be promoted to the transcendental world, to become, what do we do after going to the transcendental world? Many times people ask, non-devotees they ask, you want to go to the spiritual world, Vaikuntha. Why? What will you do there? Just all day sit and look at Lakshmi Narayan? What are you going to do in the spiritual world? You'll get bored. There is no Netflix there. There is no CNN, there is no Fox News. What will you do in the spiritual world? Srila Prabhupada tells the story that expert preacher knows how to convince people to take shelter of Krishna. So there were some coal miners. Srila Prabhupada tells this story, and the preacher went there and told them. Then they came out all covered with black coal at the end of their shift. And the preacher told them that you should pray to God. Then you will go to heaven. You'll go to live with God. Acha, how is heaven? So they said, heaven is very beautiful. But if you don't pray to God, you will go to hell. Acha, how is hell? Hell is very dark. It is very dingy. It is very dirty. So they looked at each other. They said, but we are already having a hellish life. We work in the coal mines. We go underground. It's very dark, very dingy. Look at our clothes, our skin. It's all covered with coal, black. We are already dirty and we are fine. We are used to this. So we don't have to pray to God because we are fine. Even if we go to hell, we are fine. Anyway, we are living a hellish life. So then the preacher, he thought very quickly, what do I tell them to convince them to pray to God? He says, but you know, in hell, there is no tea and there is no newspaper. Now these coal miners, they were very addicted to newspaper and drinking tea. So when the preacher said there is no tea and there is no newspaper in hell, oh, we don't want to go to hell. Please tell us how to pray. We want to go to heaven. Sometimes people ask, what will you do in heaven? Srila Prabhupada is answering here very clearly. Get free from perpetual inhabitation in this material world and to be promoted to the transcendental world to become one of the liberated associates of Krishna in the kingdom of God. And there, all these 5 relationships are there. And we engage with Krishna in all these relationships. There is loving reciprocation. And it is full of fun in the spiritual world. Full of bliss. Anandambudhi vardhanam. There is supreme ananda, supreme bliss, which increases at every step. Verse 24. Matir mai nibhaddeyam na vipadyeta karhichit praja sarga nirodhepi smritischa mad anugrahat. Intelligence engaged in my devotion cannot be thwarted at any time. Even at the time of creation, as well as at the time of annihilation, your remembrance will continue by my mercy. So Krishna is giving benediction to Narad Muni here. Because Narad Muni as a Dasi Putra, as a child, he is very sad that Krishna has disappeared. We discussed Krishna Darshana Lalasa last time. So seeing the Utkantha, seeing the eagerness of this sadhak, Narad Muni, Krishna is very mercifully giving benediction that don't worry. There is no impediment to Krishna consciousness. Whatever situation happens in the material world, Krishna consciousness is not affected by that. We can practice Krishna consciousness if we are rich. We can practice if we are poor. We can practice if we are householders. We can practice if we are renunciates. We can practice in India. We can practice in America. We can practice in the Middle East. We can practice in Africa, Australia, Europe. There is no impediment. We can practice Krishna consciousness in daytime. We can practice it at night time. There is Ashtakalya Leela going on 24/7. Something is going on in the spiritual world and we can meditate on that. So there is no impediment, no material impediment to Krishna consciousness. It cannot be thwarted at any time. Even at the time of creation as well as annihilation, your remembrance of me will not be disturbed. It will continue. How? Mat anugrahat. This is very important. Please look at the verse. The last part of the verse 24 is Mat anugrahat. Mad anugrahat. What is the meaning of Mad anugrahat? By Krishna's mercy. On our own, we don't have the power to think of Krishna. Narad Muni tried, isn't it? He tried to catch Krishna again, to get Krishna's darshan second time. Was he able to do it? No. First time he was able to do it by Krishna's grace. Mad anugrahat. And now Krishna doesn't want, he cannot. We have to bow down before Krishna's desire. We can have our own plans, but ultimately we have to bow down before Krishna's desire. Man proposes, Krishna disposes. Arjun single-handedly in Virat Rajya, in the kingdom of Maharaj Virat, single-handedly after his 14 years vanvas, 13 years vanvas, and the 14th year incognito, Agyatvas. At the end of, so Agyatvas, they lived in the kingdom of Virat. At the end of Agyatvas, when the Kaurava army consisting of Duryodhan, Dushasan, remaining 98 brothers, Shakuni, Karna, Dronacharya, Kripacharya, and Bhishmadev. All of them attacked simultaneously, and Brihanala is standing alone. Brihanala is standing alone, and he single-handedly defeated all of them. Arjun. He defeated Bhishmadev. He defeated Dronacharya single-handedly. How? Mad Anugrahat. And that same Arjun could not fight with the tribal people at the end of Dwapar Yuga, when he was bringing Lord Krishna's queens to Hastinapur from Dwarka, which had drowned, submerged. He was bringing them back on his chariots, and the whole caravan was attacked by tribals. And this Gandhivdhari Arjun, so Pratapvan, the best disciple of Dronacharya, the greatest archer, Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatra Partha Dhanurdhara, that Arjun was thoroughly defeated by tribals. Why? Because that was Krishna's plan. Our acharyas explain that those tribal men were expansions of Krishna. Krishna himself came in the form of those tribals and attacked and took away his own queens. Arjun did not. He was fighting, trying to save his beloved Lord's wives, not knowing that Krishna himself had come in the form of tribals. So Krishna has his own plans, and Krishna is Apta Kam Satya Sankalpa. Whatever Krishna desires, that happens, that comes true. We have to simply bow down before the desire of Krishna. Now, Krishna did not desire that Narad Muni should have darshan, so he is not getting darshan. But what is Krishna's desire? That smritis chamad anugrahat. You will always have smriti. Smartavya sadatam Vishnu. Now vismartavya jatuchit. We should never forget Krishna and always remember Krishna. This is the main teaching of all the Vedas. All other rules and regulations are kinkar, are servant to this principle. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. And Lord Krishna is saying, by my mercy, that will happen. You will always remember me, you will never forget me. During creation, during maintenance, during annihilation, you will not forget me. Isn't this a beautiful benediction to receive? That we will always remember Krishna. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yudhyacha. Mai arpita mano buddhir mam eva shashi asamshaya. You will come to Krishna, you will come to me, definitely. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, devotional service rendered to the personality of Godhead never goes in vain. Again, what Amrit Gaurangi Mataji shared, Neha Vikramanashosti Pratyavayana Vidyate. It never goes waste, never goes in vain. Devotional service will never ever go in vain. Never ever go in vain. Gajendra offered one lotus flower. And even today, Lord Narayan holds that lotus flower in his hand. You see how much love Krishna has for his devotee. Draupadi Devi, when she was the queen of the world, Maharaj Yudhishthir performed the Rajasuya Yajna in Indraprastha. And his queen was Queen Draupadi. Because Maharaj Yudhishthir performed the Rajasuya Yajna from Indraprastha, Yudhishthir Maharaj became the Chakravarti Samrat. And his wife Draupadi Devi is the queen of the whole world. Even the wives of Krishna in Dwarka, they would come and take instructions from Draupadi Devi how to serve Krishna. She was such a great devotee, Draupadi Devi. And when Krishna came for the Rajasuya Yajna, now look at this, look at the beauty of bhakti. Yudhishthir Maharaj is performing Rajasuya Yajna to glorify Krishna, so that he can offer the Agra Puja to Krishna. And Krishna is doing all this, fighting Kurukshetra war and taking sides with Pandavas, so that Yudhishthira Maharaj will become the king. So when Krishna came for the Rajasuya Yajna, he was offered the Agra Puja by Yudhishthira Maharaj. Krishna decided to stay for a few months in Indraprastha. So Krishna stayed in Indraprastha, and he considered Draupadi Devi like his sister, like his friend. Sister. He used to call her Sakhi. Sakhi, what have you made for lunch today? And Draupadi Devi would not delegate the cooking to the maid servant. She would personally cook every day for Krishna. And she had cooked something very nice, feast. And she would personally serve Krishna. And Krishna simply wanted to take some fruit. And he wanted to share it with Yudhishthira Maharaj and Arjun. They were all sitting with Krishna. Sakha. They were all sakhas. They eat together. So Krishna tried to cut that fruit into pieces so that he can share. And Krishna cut his own finger. Started bleeding. Krishna did like this. Immediately Draupadi Devi heard it. She came running. What happened? What happened? What happened to Krishna? What happened to Krishna? She saw blood was gushing out. from Krishna's finger. Now, she was the queen of the whole world. She was wearing the most expensive sari with diamonds and pearls and rubies and golden embroidery, the most exquisitely beautiful sari. No second thought. She tore a strip from her own sari and immediately wrapped. She could have called Vaidya. She could have told Arjun, Arjun, get a cloth. Yudhishthira Maharaj, can you please tie a cloth? Can you tie a tourniquet? Krishna's finger is bleeding. No. Immediately, this is bhakti. She didn't think. Immediately, she tore her sari and wrapped it around Krishna's finger. Bandage. So it will stop bleeding. She was so pained to see that Krishna's finger got cut. And Krishna was so touched. My dear Sakhi, Draupadi, I don't know how I will repay you for this gift of a strip of your sari that you have given me today. But if I get a chance, I will repay you someday. Krishna never forgot. This happened in Indraprasth. Then the same Pandavas were invited for Dyutta Krida, for the gambling match in Hastinapur. And after Krishna went back to Dwarka, they were invited, they went there, and you all know what happened, how they were cheated. And Draupadi was dragged in the assembly. And at the greatest time of need, when Draupadi really needed her sari, Krishna did not forget that small strip of sari that Draupadi had given him. Krishna became her sari. Krishna is Ananta, and Srimati Draupadi Devi's sari also became Ananta, unlimited. This is Krishna. He never forgets. Devotional service, little devotional service, swalpam api asya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. From the greatest bhay, from the greatest fear, trayato. It will save us. Example is Gajendra, Draupadi Devi. So many examples are there. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that such transcendental service rendered unto the personality of Godhead accumulates birth after birth. Okay, so please pay attention. This is a homework for all of you. Homework or classwork? I want to know. Don't just give answer like that. Proper answer with reference, and you have to copy paste in the comment. My question is this. Srila Prabhupada is saying, in the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that such transcendental service rendered unto the personality of Godhead accumulates birth after birth. And when the devotee is fully matured, the total service counted together makes him eligible to enter into the association of the personality of Godhead. I want to know, question is, what verse is this from Bhagavad Gita? So when you find the answer, you can raise your hand and put it. But proper, don't just guess. Prabhu, is this answer? No. Be sure and then put it, okay? So my question is, what verse of Bhagavad Gita is this? We'll go to the next verse, verse 25. Okay, somebody has put a comment there.
That's old comment, Prabhu.
Old comment, sorry. Okay, so we'll go to verse 25. Thank you, Ajay.
Now somebody put it.
Vivek Prabhu. Is this Vivek Prabhu from Baltimore? So you put the translation also and the verse.
Yes.
Vivek Prabhu from Baltimore?
It is 6th chapter 41st verse. Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. So explain. You can unmute.
It is 6th chapter of 41st verse. So it is said that an unsuccessful yogi, after many years of enjoyment on the planets, is born into a very righteous family and born into a family of rich aristocracy. And Srila Prabhupada mentions in that purport that this purport and the following verses, he mentions that a person who has performed bhakti in the previous life still continues and gets a birth in a family of, say, a brahmana or a rich family, and he quotes his Guru Maharaj and his example himself. In that,
so that is all there. But what is the next verse?
Yeah, the next verse is he takes his birth in a family of transcendentalists who are surely great in wisdom. Such a birth is very rare in this world.
Next verse.
On taking such a birth, he revives the divine consciousness of his previous life. Yes, sorry, I quoted the wrong verse.
Yeah, so it's a series. Okay, so good. You can put the verse number also in the chat box so everybody has access. Okay, so good Vivek Prabhu. So verse number 25. Then that supreme authority personified by sound and unseen by eyes, but most wonderful, stopped speaking. Now Narad Muni is telling Srila Vyasadeva that second time I did not see Bhagwan, but I could hear Bhagwan. And that Bhagwan stopped speaking. Now see, that supreme authority means Krishna personified by sound, unseen by eyes, only through Shabda Brahma, but most wonderful, then stopped speaking. Feeling a sense of gratitude, I offered my obeisances unto him, bowing my head. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada says that personality of Godhead was not seen this time. Second time he was not seen, only heard. But Prabhupada says that does not make any difference. There is no difference between seeing Krishna and hearing Krishna. Then see what Prabhupada is saying. The personality of Godhead produced the 4 Vedas by his breathing. All the 4 Vedas come from the Shwas of Narayan. And he is seen and realized through Shabda Brahma, transcendental sound of the Vedas. Similarly, the Bhagavad Gita is what? Sound representation of Bhagwan. Correct? Because it has come from the lotus mouth of Bhagwan Krishna. So Bhagavad Gita is sound representation of Krishna. And therefore, when we read Śrīmad Bhāgavatam or Bhagavad Gita, we are actually associating with Krishna. Now these verses that we are reading, who spoke these verses? Krishna spoke. So we are directly in touch with Krishna when we are reading these verses of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Lord can be seen and heard by persistent chanting of the transcendental sound, Srila Prabhupada says. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This transcendental sound, this Hare Krishna Mahamantra was chanted by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Kaviraj Goswami, all our acharyas, Saraswati Thakur, Prabhupada, everyone has chanted this Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Just think about it. So this is Shabda Brahma. And we can directly contact Krishna and all our parampara just by chanting this Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Verse 26. Thus I began chanting the holy name and fame of the Lord by repeated recitation, ignoring all the formalities of the material world. Such chanting and remembering of the transcendental pastimes of the Lord are benedictory. So doing, I traveled all over the earth, fully satisfied, humble, and non-envious. This is very, very important. Naman anantasya hatatra papatan Guyani bhadrani kritani chasmaran Gam paratyams tushtamana spriha Kalam pratiksham vimado vimatsaraha. Kalam pratiksham. He's waiting for Krishna's mercy, and vi madaha, without being proud, and vi matsara, without being envious. No pride in one's bhajan, in one's renunciation, and no envy of others. Constantly chanting and remembering the glories of Krishna. Namani means Krishna Nam. Namani, whose name? Anantasya. Krishna is called Ananta, unlimited. So, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Whatever we are doing, we are traveling, we are doing our work, we should keep chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra and keep remembering Krishna. But we have to be humble, we have to be non-envious, Srila Prabhupada says. Now, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says the life of a sincere devotee of Krishna is thus explained in a nutshell. This is the life of a devotee. Tava kathamritam tapta jivanam kavibhiriditam kalamashapaham shravana mangalam Śrīmadātatam bhuvi grinanti ye bhuridājana. Devotees like Srila Prabhupada are bhuridājana. They are very merciful. What are they doing? Everywhere they are traveling, they are doing Krishna Katha. They are doing Krishna Katha. And this is the life of Sri Narad Muni. Srila Prabhupada says this is the life of every devotee, every sincere devotee. Such a devotee, after his initiation, takes very seriously chanting of the glories of Krishna and traveling all over the world. This is important. Janma sarthak kari kara para upkar. We have to first perfect our lives and then help others also. Share our good fortune with others. So why does the sadhu travel? So that others will also hear the glories of Krishna. Such devotees have no desire for material gain, Srila Prabhupada says. Preachers should not have desire for material gain. What are material gain? Dhanam, janam, sundarim, kavitva. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagadisha kamaye. Mama janmani janmanishware bhavatad bhakti rahaytuki tvai. Ahaytuki bhakti. We don't want wealth, dhanam. We don't want followers. Very, very big trap it is. Followers. Janam and na sundarim. No desire for enjoying sense gratification in this material world. These are very big impediments. Srila Prabhupada explains. Very big impediment. Mahaprabhu is also explaining. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim. This ahaytuki bhakti is what we want. Such devotees should have no desire for material gain. But they should have one desire. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport. And that is the desire to go back to Godhead. To go back to Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada says, this going back to Godhead, this Bhagavad Dham Gaman, going back to Godhead, it awaits the devotees in due course of time. Srila Prabhupada is giving us assurance. Just in due course of time, a devotee, sincere devotee gets it. Why? Because they have the highest aim of going back to Godhead. And they are never envious of anyone, nor are they proud of being eligible to go back to Godhead. We should never be proud and we should never doubt our acharyas. We should never doubt the scriptures. The only business of such sincere devotees is to chant and remember the holy name, fame, and pastimes of Krishna. Can we do this? Names of Krishna, Krishna's glorious qualities, and Krishna's wonderful pastimes. This should be our topic of discussion. Krishna Nam, Krishna Leela, and Krishna Guna. Gaura Nam, Gaura Dham, Gaura Rupa Gun, Aparadha Nahi Mane Tarite Nipun. Gauranga Mahaprabhu's name, Gauranga Mahaprabhu's abode, Gauranga Mahaprabhu's Leela. These are very merciful. Tarite Nipun, they are very expert in giving us liberation from this material world and going back home, back to Godhead. Spiritual liberation. And Aparadha Nahi Mane. They don't consider any offenses also. So we should be absorbed in Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Bhagavat, Bhagavad Gita. This is our ahar. This is our diet. Diet of these scriptures. Their only business is to chant and remember the holy name, fame, and pastimes of Bhagwan according to personal capacity. Now, everybody has different capacity. Some are very great preachers, and some are very good listeners, very good followers, very good devotees. Some are good mridanga players, some are good in organizing, some are good at fundraising. So whatever our forte is, we all, if we introspect and we take little guidance from our Shiksha Guru, will come to know what is our forte. So all of us, dear devotees, we should analyze our life. What can I do nicely for Krishna? What service I can do? Someone can cook, someone can sing, someone can preach. And there are some devotees, they can do everything. Super talented. Some devotees are there. They can do everything. They can sing, they can preach. His Grace Amok Leela Prabhu. He can be a temple president. He can preach, he can sing, he can write songs, he can attract youth, he can attract newcomers, he can nourish the old devotees, he can do everything. So, plus he's a brahmachari. So, but such devotees are very rare. And we may not be like that. But whatever capacity we have, little bit, we should do. In the eyes of Krishna, all sincere devotees are perfect. Whether we are Hanumanji or whether we are a squirrel. Like that. Prabhupada is saying, according to personal capacity, to distribute the message for others' welfare without motive for material gain. This is very important. Without motive for material gain. We have to be very careful. These temptations for material gain, they are a very big impediment. Very big impediment. And no matter how great we are, how senior we are, we should always be careful about these things. Srila Prabhupada had said, my disciples will fall down because of two things. Actually, one senior Srila Prabhupada disciple personally told me this. Prabhupada told him this directly. Brahmatirtha Prabhu, His Grace Brahmatirtha Prabhu. You know, perfect question, perfect answers. That small book, perfect question, perfect answers. So Bob is the boy who comes and asks Prabhupada all those questions. And that compilation is perfect question. So That Bob later on became Brahmatirtha Prabhu. So Brahmatirtha Prabhu personally told me. Once in a private conversation, Prabhupada told him, my Indian disciples will fall down because of few paisas, and my American disciples will fall down because of illicit sex. Hare Krishna. You have to be very careful. And what are we? We are both. We are Indian also, and we are American also, living in the Western world. So we are Americanized, and many of us are from India. Most of us are from India. So we have to be careful about both these things. Dhanam Sundarim. Therefore, Mahaprabhu, every day Shikshashtakam prayers, we have to meditate. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim. In fact, I will share something very personal. A very good way to chant 16 rounds is to chant 2 rounds meditating on the prayer of the first verse of Shikshashtak. Cheto Darpana Marjanam. Krishna, please purify me of lust, anger, greed, like that. And all glories to your holy name. Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam. Please give me entrance into the spiritual world so that I can experience higher taste and I give up this lower taste. This should be our meditation for the first 2 rounds. Second 2 round, the third and fourth round that we chant, we should meditate on the second verse of Shikshashtakam. Nam Namakari Bahuta. Etadrishi Tava Kripa. Krishna, you are so Kripavan, you are so merciful, you have given me your holy name, you have given me Hare Krishna Mahamantra. But Durdaiva Midrisham Ihajani na Anurag. I don't have Anurag for your holy name. So please give me taste. Please give me taste. So we should pray for taste. Like that, all the 8 verses of Shikshashtakam, we can chant 2 rounds. Meditating on the prayer of those verses. Third verse, Krishna, please give me humility. Please give me tolerance. Please make me respectful to others, manadena, and make me prideless, amanina. And give me the ability to constantly chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Please, please, Guru Gauranga, give me this ability. I want to always chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Kirtanya Sadahari. So we chant 2 rounds meditating on this prayer. Because see, one of our Gurujan, glorious disciple of our beloved Srila Prabhupada is Param Pujya Srila Bhurijan Prabhu. Srila Bhurijan Prabhu. Srila Bhurijan Prabhu has written a book, Japa, book on Japa. In that, Srila Bhurijan Prabhu writes that good Japa means 3 things, 3 P's. Posture, you should sit nicely on an asan in one place, no walking and chanting or driving and chanting. We should sit in one place peacefully. So posture, sitting posture. Second P, pronunciation. The Hare Krishna Mahamantra pronunciation should be distinct and clear. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. All the 16 names of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra should be pronounced properly so that we can hear. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That is the second P. Posture, pronunciation, and the third P is prayerful mood. So what prayerful mood should we have? So the Shikshashtakam prayers are helping us. All 16 rounds, we can do 2 rounds for 1 verse. Like that we can pray. So therefore every day we should chant the Shikshashtakam prayers. Prabhu Shikshashtak shloka jai padhe shune Krishna prema bhakti tara bade dine dine. In the Ante Lila of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, the last chapter is the Shikshashtakam prayers. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu speaks this Shikshashtakam prayers and Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami explains them in simple Bengali. And in the end, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami gives this benediction. Prabhura Shikshashtaka shloka jai padhe shune Krishna prema bhakti tara bade dine dine. So like that. So we should especially focus on na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim. I don't want followers, janam. I don't want money from my practice of Krishna consciousness, dhanam. And I certainly don't want to fall victim to illicit sex. Sundarim, na sundarim. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim. There is a story that our acharyas tell us. You have all heard of Srila Jaimini Rishi, isn't it? Jaimini Rishi, you have all heard, very famous Rishi. And Srila Vyasadeva, who is asking these questions to Sri Narad Muni. So Srila Vyasadeva is Jagat Guru. He has written all the Vedic literatures. And Srila Vyasadeva was in his ashram and he had many students. One of the students is the great Jaimini Rishi. And Srila Vyasadeva was teaching Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Śrīmad Bhāgavatam is eternal. And there is a verse that Balavan Indriya Grahayam Vidvan api karshati. Someone can just search this verse from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Balavan Indriya Grahayam Vidvan api karshati. That one should not sit with one's mother, sister, or daughter in a solitary place alone. Because Balwan Indriya, our Indriya, our senses are very Balwan, very powerful. And Vidwan api karshati. Even a Vidwan person, even a Dhira, even a person who is knowledgeable in spiritual life, who has been practicing Bhakti or practicing Transcendental path, can get agitated. Karshati means get agitated. Vidwan api karshati.
Matra, Swasra.
Yes, that verse.
Dvitra.
Yes. So someone can put that verse, find that verse. I think it is from the 9th canto, I believe. So one has to be very careful. So when Jaimini Rishi heard this, he took objection. He stood up in the Bhagavatam class. Srila Vyasadeva is giving Bhagavatam class. He quotes this verse and Jaimini Rishi stood up and he said, "Ye baat kuch hajam nahi hui. I cannot digest this thing." Okay, so Shama Kishori Mataji has shared that verse. Okay, let me share my screen so all of you can see this verse. Very important verse. 9.19.17. Matra swasra duhitrava na vivikta sano bhavet balavan indriya gramo vidvan sam api karshati. Vidwan sam api karshati. Vidwan means a very learned, advanced person, spiritual advanced person. So Srila Prabhupada is translating, one should not allow oneself to sit on the same seat even with one's own mother, one's sister, or one's daughter. For the senses are so strong that even though one is very advanced in knowledge, he may be attracted by sex. Matra swasra duhitra va. Matra means mother, swasra means one's sister, and duhitra means one's daughter. Na vivakta samo bhavet means very closely in solitude, one should not sit. Balavan indriya gramo vidvan samapi karashati. So this verse, Srila Vedavyas, the author of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, is teaching. Now listen carefully. And Jaimini Rishi, the great Jaimini Rishi, took objection. He said, this is too much. This verse should be changed. Don't put it in Bhagavatam. Then people will read mother, sister, daughter. This is exaggeration. This is not right. Please take it out. And that also Vidwan. I mean, we can consider some third class people. They may fall down to very low level, but not a Vidwan, not a Aryan. Aryan cannot get agitated. This should be changed. Now, the nature of great souls like Srila Vyasadeva is that they don't engage in argument, dry arguments, tarka, because it doesn't establish anything. Tarko apratishta. Tarko cannot establish the truth. Srila Vyasadeva said, all right, we will talk about this later. Let's go to the next verse. We'll talk about this verse later. You will get experience of this verse. And if you don't get, you tell me, I will change the verse. Give me a few days. If you don't get the realization of this verse in few days, you come and tell me, I will change the verse of Bhagavatam. Srila Vyasadeva tells Jaimini Rishi. Jaimini Rishi said, all right. The Bhagavatam class concludes. After a few days, Srila Vyasadeva calls Jaimini Rishi and tells him, in the entire ashram of all my students, you are the best. You are the most Vidwan. Hare Krishna. You know where it is going now. You are the most Vidwan. Now I have to go to another ashram to give a Bhagavatam class. So I will be gone for a few days, but I want you to maintain our ashram very nicely. This is a Brahmachari ashram. You are Brahmachari. Everybody is Brahmachari. So maintain it very nicely. Don't let any girls come here. It's a Brahmachari ashram and you be in charge in my absence. In few days I will come back. Jaimini Rishi says, as you say, Gurudev, as you say. Srila Vyasadeva goes away, leaves, and Jaimini Rishi is managing everything very nicely. Strict Brahmachari. One day he's sitting and chanting his Gayatri. Evening Gayatri. Evening Gayatri. You know, at night, in the evening, the mode of passion and ignorance become very strong. Morning mode of goodness is strong. So he's chanting his evening Gayatri, and he hears the sweet sound of the ankle bells of a girl. And he's thinking, how come? This is Brahmacharya ashram. Girls are not allowed here. They know they should not come here. This seems to be the sound of a girl's ankle bells. Anyway, I will not look. I am a Brahmachari. I should not look in that direction. He continues chanting his Gayatri. After he finishes the Gayatri, he opens his eyes, and in front of him, he sees a lady. But he is trained. He does not look above the feet of a lady. Immediately he looks down and he says, "Oh mother, what can I do for you?" Because matravat paradaryeshu. Every woman should be seen as one's mother. That is the teaching that all the Vidwan, all the Aryans have. So he looks at her feet and says, "What can I do for you, mother?" She says, "Oh Sadhu Maharaj, I am going to my village, but I lost my way, and now it is getting dark. The sun has set, and it is very late, and I don't know what to do. I am a young girl, and I am very beautiful." And her voice was very sweet. Now he's not looking. Jamin Rishi is not looking. He's looking down, but he's hearing her sweet voice. She said, "I am very beautiful. I am very young, and I am alone in this forest. I cannot go. Something will happen to me. So please, can you give me shelter in your ashram today?" Jamin Rishi said, "What are you saying? This is Brahmacharya ashram. And my Gurudev, Srila Vyasadeva, has said, no ladies allowed. This is only Brahmacharya ashram. So there is no place. All men are staying here. So you cannot stay. I'm sorry, mother. Please go." She chastises Jaimini Rishi. She says, sadhus are supposed to be soft in the heart. Snigdha, soft in the heart. You should be adjusting. You should be compassionate. Even an uncultured person will not reject a young, helpless girl like me at night time. Just let me stay in your ashram for one night. In the morning, I will go to my village. Just one night, let me stay. Give me any small kutir. There are so many small huts. Give me one hut. I will stay. And morning, I will go to my village. But don't reject me like this. What will I do in this forest alone? Please have mercy. Now, Jaimini Rishi is Rishi. He has to be merciful, compassionate. That is one of the characteristics of a Brahman. So he said, all right. My Guru Maharaj, Vyasadeva, he lives in that cottage, that hut. It is empty because he has gone, he's traveling. You can stay in Srila Vyasadeva's hut. But as soon as it's morning, you leave and go to your village. And there are many brahmacharis living here. Don't open the door to anybody. Anybody knocks, you don't open the door. Okay, this is brahmacharya ashram. She says, thank you so much. I will not open the door. Thank you for giving me shelter. Morning, you will not even see me. Before you get up, I will be gone. She goes and closes the door. Jaimini Rishi finishes his evening duties and he goes to his own hut to retire. And he lays down on the bed, on the straw mat, on the floor to take a rest. And he's remembering the sweet voice of the girl. And a question comes in his mind. Are, she came to my cottage, my ashram. I didn't even ask her if she wants to eat some prasad. It is the duty of a sadhu to receive guests nicely. Hospitality demands that I should at least offer her some dinner. And what is this? I didn't even ask her which village she's from. And what is this? I did not even look at her face. I don't even know who I have given shelter. At least I should see her face. I should know who I have given shelter in the ashram for one whole night. Let me go back. Then his intelligence tells him, no. Guru Maharaj said, you are a brahmachari. Don't go there. It's time to go to sleep. At night, mode of ignorance and mode of passion are very strong. Don't get up. Quietly go to sleep. Morning, you have to get up and chant your rounds. And his mind says, no. How can I? I have to find out where she is from. I have not even looked at her once. Let me just look at. I will not do anything. I just want to look at her once. He gets up. His mind wins. He gets up, looks here and there. Everybody's sleeping. Nobody's watching. Quietly, he sneaks to the cottage of Srila Vyasadeva, where this woman is staying. He knocks on the door. Can you please open the door? I want to talk to you. Who is it? Jaimini Rishi. I am the one who gave you this cottage to stay for the night. I am in charge of this ashram. Open the door. I want to talk to you. She said, no. I don't want to talk. I will not open the door. You told me not to open the door. But I am knocking. No. Even for you, I will not open. You told me don't open the door for anybody. So I will not open. But I did not even offer you anything to eat. Can I give you some fruits and water? No. It's too late now. It's time to, this is no time. Now you go. Just leave me alone. Don't come here. He says, but I have not even seen you. I don't know who you are. I have given you shelter in the ashram. I want to see you once. He says, no, I will not open the door. Jaimini Rishi looked up. The straw hut, it had just straw roof. He took a stool, stood on it, moved the straw aside, climbed up and jumped inside the hut to see her. This is a true story. Jaimini Rishi. He jumped inside and she said, oh, what are you doing? You came inside. What is this? He said, I just want to know, can I give you something to eat? Some fruits, some water from the river? Ganga is flowing, some Ganga Jal? She said, no, I'm not hungry. Okay. Which village are you from? What do you have to do? You are a sadhu, you do your bhajan. Why are you asking me which village I am from? Okay. Just tell me, are you married or you are unmarried? She said, I am unmarried. Jaimini Rishi looks at her and says, I am also unmarried. And then he looks at her and he says, oh, Kamala Nayan, she has got beautiful lotus eyes. He starts composing verses glorifying her beauty. Oh, you are so beautiful. So she says, what is your intention? Jaimini Rishi says, see, it cannot be a coincidence. At night you got lost, you had nowhere to go. Of all the people in this forest, you came to me. I am unmarried, you are unmarried. I think this is arrangement of divine providence. I think we should get married. We should get married? He says, yes, you are unmarried, I am unmarried, we should get married. When you want to get married? Now only. Let's get married now. He says, what? Get married now? She says, yes, I'm ready. The girl says, but when I was a small girl, I had taken a vow that I will only get married to a person who, for my sake, is willing to color his face black. Muh kala karke, if he walks all the way to Ganga, then I will marry him on the banks of Ganga. Jaimini says, what? He looks everywhere. Everybody's sleeping. Nobody is watching. He says, okay, I will do. Nobody will watch anyway at night. I will make my muh kala. So he takes some coal, some ashes. He makes his face kala, muh kala. And he says, okay, now let's go. Let's get married immediately to the bank of Ganga. And they both walk. Jaimini Rishi holds her hand. Let me hold your hand. It's night time. You'll stumble on some pebbles and stones. Sharp thorns are there. Let me clear the path for you, oh beautiful girl. And let's get married. He takes her to the bank of the Ganga. And he says, now let's get married. He gets one tight slap. Jaimini Rishi gets one tight slap. The girl slaps him. Jaimini Rishi looks, why did you slap me? And immediately the girl transforms into Vyasadeva. Srila Vyasadeva had taken the form of that girl and come to that ashram just to teach Jaimini Rishi how careful a sadhak has to be. One may have practiced Krishna consciousness for years. It takes one moment to fall down. And all our bhajan of 40, 50 years can go waste. Shukla vastra machi bindu yaichena lukaya sannyasira alpachidra sarva loka gaya. You have to be very careful. And immediately Jaimini Rishi falls at the feet of Srila Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva says, so should we change the verse in Bhagavatam or should we leave it as it is? He says, oh, re baap. I hold my ears. No. Don't change. It is very correct. Jaimini Rishi says that as a sadhu, it is my duty to look at all women as mother. Matrat paradaryeshu. And I propose marriage to my own mother. Just see. Your verse is perfect. No need to change. Śrīmad Bhāgavatam cannot be wrong. Balavan indriya gram. These incenses are uncontrolled and very, very powerful, very strong. We should never trust them. Always engage ourselves. Rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhakti ruchyate. That is the only way. Keep the senses engaged in Krishna's service. There is no other way. Verse number 27. And so, O Brahman Vyasa, Sri Narad Muni is telling, and so, O Brahman Vyasadeva, in due course of time, I, who was fully absorbed in thinking of Krishna and who therefore had no attachments, being completely freed from all material taints, met with death. As lightning and illumination occur simultaneously. So what was his state of mind? He was Evam Krishna Mater Brahman Nasaktasya Malatmanaha Kalah Pradur Bhut Kale Tadit Saudamani Yatha. Krishna Mater. He was always Krishna conscious. Always Krishna conscious. And in due course of time, he met with death. Death will come to devotees as well as non-devotees. Krishna's protection is for the soul. The body is going to perish. So eventually he met with death. But what happened? As soon as he met with death, he immediately got a spiritual body. Just like lightning and illumination occur simultaneously. So lightning means death, the strike of lightning. But then when there is lightning, there is illumination also, spiritual realization. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, to be fully absorbed in thought of Krishna means clearance of material dirts and hankerings. So all these Balavan, Indriya, Gramo, all these temptations, all these attachments, material conditionings, they all get cleared slowly as we become absorbed in Krishna. Somehow or the other, we have to think of Krishna. Yena kena prakarena manha Krishna niveshayet. And in due course of time, when a pure devotee is completely prepared, all of a sudden the change of body occurs, which is commonly called death. Srila Prabhupada says death is just change of body. Devotee simultaneously changes his material body and develops a spiritual body. Srila Prabhupada is writing. A devotee simultaneously changes his material body and develops a spiritual body by the will of the Supreme Lord. Mat anugraha, by Krishna's mercy. And even before death, a pure devotee has no material affection due to his body is being spiritualized like red hot iron in contact with fire. Fire is hot and can burn. A piece of iron that has been placed in the fire and has become red hot also has the same property as fire. You touch that, I have tried this. You take a red hot iron and touch it to a paper. The paper will immediately set on fire. It will catch fire. You touch a flame to the paper will burn. So the fire and the red hot iron has the same effect on the paper, setting it ablaze. So similarly, the material body of a devotee becomes spiritualized because it's completely engaged in Krishna consciousness. Just like iron and fire are completely different, but when iron is in contact with fire, it becomes like fire. So when the material body is always Krishna conscious, engaged in Krishna's service, the material body also becomes spiritual. Therefore, we say that the body of the spiritual master is spiritual. Then last verse number 28. Having been awarded a transcendental body befitting an associate of the personality of Godhead, I quit the body made of 5 material elements, and thus all acquired fruitive results of karma work stopped. So Narad Muni meeting with death was his prarabdha. You see in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam also, it is mentioned that when Maharaj, we will see it, when Maharaj Parikshit is born, the prediction is there that he will be bitten by the takshak bird and he will die. When Parikshit Maharaj was born, that is prarabdha. So prarabdha is what is already predetermined. It is like we are already on a flight. So that flight is going to reach the destination. If we take a flight to New York from Atlanta, then that is prarabdha. We are going to land in New York. Nothing can stop that. But what we do on the flight can determine where we go from New York. So if we have committed sins, then as soon as we land, the police will be waiting to arrest us. Or if we have been good, then we will have our loved ones waiting at the airport with a car and a bouquet to welcome us. So it all depends on what we do. But prarabdha has to unfold. And Narad Muni, he had to meet with death. He met with death, but immediately got a spiritual body, and that's when all acquired fruitive results of karma stopped. So all other karma stopped. It was all destroyed by his bhakti shakti. In purport, informed by the personality of Godhead that he would be awarded a transcendental body befitting a Lord's association, Narad got his spiritual body. Krishna had assured him that next life you will be with me, and Narad Muni got a spiritual body. This transcendental body is free from material affinity and invested with 3 primary transcendental qualities. Now listen carefully. Spiritual body, our Siddha Swarup, our spiritual body has 3 qualities. One is, it is eternal. It never dies. It is eternal. Whereas the body of demigods dies. Second quality, it is free from the material modes of nature. Sattva, Raja, Guna, it is beyond that. It is untainted by the material modes. And number 3, freedom from the reactions of fruitive activities. Name karmane limpanti, name karma phala spruha. The spiritual body has nothing to do with karma. Karma, guna, and kal. I repeat, karma, the 3 modes of material nature, guna and kal, time, have no influence on our spiritual body. The material body, on the other hand, is always affected by these 3 qualities. The material body is affected by kal, dehi anosmin yatha dehe, kaumaram, yavanam, jara. Material body is changing with time, Material body is subject to the height that we have, the complexion that we have, the physical ailments, the diseases that we get in this material body are because of our karma. So body is affected by karma. It is affected by time. And it is affected by the modes of material nature, the body. At night, the body is under the influence of mode of ignorance. We are sleeping. Morning, when we wake up for chanting, it is sattva gun. So body is affected by the three modes, but the spiritual body is not. A devotee's body becomes at once surcharged with transcendental qualities as soon as he is engaged in devotional service. We saw that. Iron rod and fire example. And therefore, if the body of body of a sincere devotee is completely spiritual, then the devotee should be able to see Krishna face to face. Correct? If the body is material, then you cannot see Krishna, because Krishna cannot be seen through material eyes. Krishna is achintya and he is Satchidananda Vigraha. So we cannot see with our jada indriya. But if the body of a devotee becomes spiritual by Krishna's mercy through practice of Krishna consciousness, then the devotee should be able to perceive Krishna in this very body. Correct? Srila Prabhupada says, yes, there are many instances of this in our Shastra. Dhruv Maharaj and Prahlad Maharaj and many other devotees were able to see Krishna face to face, apparently in the same body. Even in modern history, we have the example of Tukaram Maharaj. This means that the quality of a devotee's body changes from material to transcendental. And then in Brahma Samhita, there's a very beautiful verse, I like it very much, that beginning from the Indra Gopa germ up to the great king Indra of heaven, all living beings are subjected to law of karma and they are bound to suffer and enjoy based on their karma. Only the devotee is exempt from such reactions by the causeless mercy of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Would you all like to see this verse? I will show you 1 second. Let me just share my screen real quick. It's a very beautiful verse. Govindam Ādi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So hold on, let me share my screen and then we'll conclude. So this comes. Yeah, this one. Yeah, Indra Gopam. Yas Indra Gopamathavendra Mahoswakarma Bandhanurupa Phalabha Janamatanoti Karmani Nirdahati Kintu Cha Bhakti Bhajam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Very beautiful, very important verse. I adore Lord Govinda, the primeval Lord, who burns up the roots of fruitive activities. Karmani nirdahati. Dahan karna means to burn it off. So yes, Krishna destroys all our karma. Otherwise, from Indragop insect to the Indra, king of heaven, everyone is swakarma. They are suffering the results of their own karma. Bandhanurupa. They are suffering and enjoying. Phalabhajana matanoti. So enjoying suffering according to their karma. Karmani nirdahati kintu bhakti bhajam. But by bhakti, those who are engaged in bhakti, Krishna, Lord Govinda, nirdahati karma. He burns away their karma. Govindamadi Purusham Tamam. This is the praman that Krishna can destroy, finish off all our karma. Nirdahati. Krishna just burns to ashes, the go down, where all our karma is stored. It's a very nice verse. We'll chant it one more time. Yas Indra Gopamathavendra Mahoswakarma Bandhanurupa Phalabha Janamatanoti Karmani Nirdahati Kintu Cha Bhakti Bhajam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Okay, very beautiful. Srila Prabhupada is referring to this verse in the purport. So we'll continue from verse number 29 on Thursday. Hare Krishna. Granthara Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. If there are any questions, we can quickly take questions. I received a feedback that I should keep the questions very short. So I will try my best. So Shama Keshwari Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for the wonderful class. Prabhuji, my question is about Narad Muni's mother. She had, she died.
Yes.
And, so the question was, did Narad Muni ensure that she went back to Godhead just like Dhruva Maharaj had ensured about his mother? Thank you.
Yes. Actually, Shama Kishore asked me this question on WhatsApp, and I said it's a very nice question. So maybe you can ask it in the class so that everybody can see this very nice question that you have asked. So Mataji is saying Dhruva Maharaj, he made sure that his mother went back to Godhead before him on the Vaikuntha Viman. What about Narad Muni's mother? So we don't find anything in the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam or Srila Prabhupada's purports about the mother. But based on the authority of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam 7th Canto, we can conclude that Sri Narad Muni's mother also got the supreme destination, because Srila Narasimhadev Bhagwan, he clearly mentions in the 7th Canto of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam that 21 generations of a pure devotee are liberated. So this is the dear mother of Shripad Narad Muni. And her death also, Śrīmad Bhāgavatam tells us, her death also was orchestrated by Krishna himself. Krishna arranged that she passes away so that Narad Muni will progress in his spiritual life. So definitely, she must have attained the highest destination because she was very sinless. Narad Muni served the Bhaktivedantas and she also served. You see? So she was also so definitely we can understand that she must have gotten the highest destination. Is that okay? Hare Krishna. Thank you. Then we have Divya Mataji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I wanted to ask you, you spoke about Krishna saving Draupadi. I have two questions actually. So he saved Draupadi, but he allowed her sons to be killed by Ashwadhama. And so I'm just wondering that, he could have saved her sons, but why didn't he save them? And the second question was, you spoke about posture while chanting. Now, I mean, when we sit for 2 hours without moving, isn't that hard on the body? Shouldn't we move a little bit and walk a little bit? When we are it's hard to, and plus I don't know about others, but if I am sitting too long, I have a tendency to fall asleep.
Yeah. So first question, again, Krishna clearly says in Bhagavad Gita that we are not the body, we are the soul. So we should always understand Krishna's protection is on the level of the soul. Draupadi's children were killed, but they all attained Vaikuntha. Even Abhimanyu was killed, but Lord Krishna himself tells Arjuna in Mahabharata that he went to Vaikuntha. So in this material world, anyway, we have to die. Everyone has to die, either at the age of 16 or at the age of 60 or 100 years. But at some point in time, we all have to die. Death is inevitable. So Krishna's protection is on the level of the soul. The reason Krishna came for Draupadi is because there was great injustice being done to a helpless lady, and Dushasan was repeatedly challenging that Krishna cannot come to Hastinapur and save you, because Draupadi initially told Dushasan that I am the Sakhi, I am the friend of Krishna, so please don't do this to me. And he said Krishna is Dwarkavasi, he lives in Dwarka, he cannot come to Hastinapur, he cannot do anything, this is our kingdom. So he was mocking Draupadi Devi. And Draupadi Devi's prayer was that Krishna, this body of mine is meant for your service. I have appeared to serve you. And Dushasan is defiling your property. My body is your property. Manasa deha geha jo kichumor arpilu tuapade nanda kishore. So please protect your sacred property. Pratigyatava govinda name bhakta pranashyati iti samsmrita pranam dharyam aham. Draupadi Devi spoke this verse, that it is your promise that your devotee will never perish. Pratigyatava govinda name bhakta pranashyati. And I'm constantly remembering this promise of yours. Iti samsmritya pranam samdharyam aham. I'm holding on to my pran, my life air. So it was a question of protecting Draupadi's faith and proving his own words to be true. Because Draupadi was not so concerned about her own honor. She was concerned that this body is meant for Krishna's service, and this body is being insulted. This body is being humiliated. So Krishna, if you so desire, this body is your property. Please save. This is Sharanagati. This is complete Atma Nivedanam, one of the limbs of Sharanagati. So therefore Krishna came. As far as the sons of Draupadi are concerned and Abhimanyu, the son of Subhadra, is concerned, they were also protected. The soul was protected. Eventually Draupadi also died. So Krishna's protection is at the level of the soul. As far as the body is concerned, sometimes Krishna protects. Sometimes he may apparently not protect the body, but Krishna always protects the soul. And the protection of soul is more important, much more important. Regarding your second question, yes, it's okay if the body is not supporting, but if we exercise and we keep the body fit, then sitting for 2 hours is not very difficult. It's very easy. One can easily sit for 2 hours. If one cannot sit cross-legged, then one can sit on a chair with a straight back and chant. It's a question of practice. It's like running a 5K. If you tell someone who has not practiced, then 5K run is very difficult. But if you practice for a few weeks, then you can do it, isn't it? So chanting is also like that. You practice, we do some Bhujangasana to strengthen the back muscles, and then we can sit, no problem. And chanting in one place continuously for 2 hours on one asana is spiritually very uplifting. And every sadhak should try to do that. But if body is not allowing, then you can walk in intermittently, no problem. Important thing is to chant. Okay? Divya Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare
Right.
Krishna.
Amrit Karan Prabhu, please go ahead.
Wonderful session, Prabhuji. From your heart, you are telling a lot of things now. So it's like Krishna Darasana Lalasa is you chanted one verse. Where from?
It is from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 10, chapter 32. It is the verse immediately after the Gopi Geet. Gopi Geet is chapter 31. Chapter 32 is the reunion. So it begins with Shri Shuka Uvacha Iti Gopya Pragayantya Pralapantyasya Chitradha Rurudhu Suswaram Rajan Krishna Darashana Lalasa. It is the first verse of chapter 32 of 10th canto.
Thank you. And I have one more question. That Khatanga Maharaj actually within one Murta, he actually achieved his goal, his perfection. You are mentioning that for one Murta means 48 minutes. It's according to Vedic calculation. How is it?
So this I have read in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. I have to search exactly where, but I remember reading it in Chaitanya Charitamrita. And also in Bhagavatam purports, also Srila Prabhupada writes about Maharaj Khatwanga. It is one muhurta, and one muhurta is 48 minutes, but also some places it is said one moment. He had only one moment.
Yeah, I got
that one moment is of the demigods.
Oh.
So for us, it was one muhurta. So therefore, he came to earth and he did bhajan for 48 minutes, which is one moment for the demigods. Like that.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Within one moment, he attained perfection.
Thank you so much.
That's also
Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Any other questions? I don't see any other hands raised. So we can conclude. We will meet again. Someone has a question? Okay, so we'll all meet on Thursday. Thank you very much. Granthara Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you
Very much. Hare Krishna.
Very much, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.